is my new Ploopy Adept that I received from Toronto, Canada. The shipping time was probably about a week, maybe less. The item cost in US dollars as of June 2025 $72. Again, I would have loved to have just purchased a PCB of this device, but you have to buy the whole thing as a kit. So at $72, the owners did not feel that offering just a PCB alone was worth it. I had forgotten how I had installed or assembled my previous Ploopy Adept, so I had to reacquaint myself through their instructions, but generally it's straightforward. Some of the people on fora were wondering whether the new PCBs came with the sensor already pre-installed, and I've confirmed that it's not so. Here I was trying to choose between my MiniWave or my Pine Cell, so I decided to go with the Pine Cell, which is a fatter handle, but I saw that the tips were approximately similar. My MiniWave has a weird bug, I think, where it just turns off by itself intermittently. The Pine Cell does not do that. It's much more reliable. Here I'm setting up my carbon filtering Noctua fans to try to suck up some of the toxic smoke fumes that occur while I'm soldering. So as you can see, the connectors for the sensor to the PCB board are microscopic, about a millimeter or less, and so you have to be very careful. In my previous build, I had made the mistake of trying to tin the small holes. So I got my hole sucker ready, as you can see, but this time I was not going to make that mistake. Although tinning the holes make soldering far easier, when you tin the holes, they close up and then you can't insert the sensor tips into them, and so you have to kind of tin as well as solder all in one step, the way I'm doing here. It's very easy to burn the PCB. So the first time I tried it, I think I did like 370 to be careful. I made the note to try to use 400 degrees, but what I found is 400 degrees is a little bit too hot. I think about 390 is just about right to avoid burning the board while at the same time generating adequate heat to solder and tin the holes. And so that's what I'm doing here. The key is to keep the solder tip very clean using your copper mesh. And I was trying to make sure that the tinning as well as the soldering was clearly separated from each other, as well as making full contact circumferentially. So I'm taking some extra time trying to neaten that up. I had to cut a lot of the footage from the right because my big fat head kept getting in the way, as you can see, and so most of that footage was unusable, so I cut that out. So this Pine Cell tip that it shipped with it's more or less adequately small enough to do the job, but it would be better if you had even a smaller tip in this instance. in which case you'd have to use a kind of microscope to do your work. Here I'm putting some flux down because there was a section in the center that I wasn't sure whether it's fused or not, so I'm applying heat after flux to make sure those are cleared up, and the flux makes the metal kind of re-adhere to each other and creating a separated space. You can use external 400-degree heat to accomplish the same, but that can risk burning the plastic as well. So overall, it's just a matter of being very, very careful, but I think it was pretty much done. I was satisfied with the results, some of which you can see in the background a little bit there. So I'm just inspecting to make sure the contacts are good, that there aren't any inadvertent contacts with each other. So now I'm installing the lens, making sure there's no dust around it. You have to pull off these orange stickers, protective stickers that ship with the 6-arc sensor. And it's just a matter of popping it back on. So I was going to use the shell that the Ploopy shipped with to test the solders and the connections, the buttons, switches, before I transferred the entire thing to my new AnyBall Adept 57mm version that I bought from JLCPD. So the tops of these shells that the Ploopy ships with, I don't know what to do with them. I decided to go ahead and just install the roller bearings and all that. As you can see, pretty easy to do. These ones didn't stick firmly into the holes the way my previous one did. They would keep plopping out. I mean, it didn't matter since I wasn't planning to use them anyway, but if it did, that would be a pain in the ass. What you don't want to do is glue them in, because the bearings do wear out and you have to replace them intermittently. Here's their eccentric kind of balsa wood logo that Ploopy ships with. The cork padding came much thinner than the previous ones I bought a couple of years ago, and the ball is by weight and density phenolic resin, but they are now 59.2 grams. The previous ones I shipped with a year ago were 86 grams. So probably glass filled phenolic resin versus just plain cheap phenolic resin that ships with now. So I was surprised that they had gone so much cheaper on their ball. It didn't matter since I wasn't going to use it anyway, but I would think that if you're going to buy the Ploopy Adept and use it as is now, you're going to get a much cheaper ball. That's like 30 to 40% lighter in weight. So here's my JLCPCB unboxing. So this shipment shipped out in about a week or so. The trunk tariffs are currently in abeyance, but this time I ordered it as a transparent resin. This is 8001 still, but transparent resin. I was nervous about how it was going to look like. These are going to be translucent. Now, I ordered these buttons, but I was shocked to find that the standard buttons do not fit on my new AnyBall 50 to 60 version. You have to order the skinny buttons that you can find within the 5060 folder on GitHub. So expensive $20 worth of sculpted ergonomic buttons I bought can only be applied to my old AnyBall Ploopy, which is magnetized, whereas these are not magnetized. You have to super glue them on. So I'm going to think about what I should do about that. I could drill out my own holes in them and put magnets in them to use them on my old AnyBall, the 55 millimeter version, or I could sell them, I guess, or I mean, I'll have to think about it. But anyway, on these new ones, as you can see, previously it came with these spacers that are extremely thin, and it does fit. And I guess the spacers are necessary. You're going to use a gigantic ball, like 60 millimeters. I plan to use a 57 millimeter pool ball, and or I ordered a 57 millimeter 440C steel ball that's in transit now from China, Guangdong area. See how that works. But currently, as you can see there, I'm using the 55 millimeter ball. And I plan to use that 57 millimeter ball for my PI engineering belt crack. So I'm doing some fine tuning as switches weren't working quite correctly. Fiddly, but I got them working finally. With that, bottom right button that wasn't clicking well. And this time I'm trying out the steel ball. It works fine. So I've got my new giant ball, 57 millimeter ball version I'll be using on my right hand side. I've got my older 55 millimeter ball I'll be using on my left side. So I'm going to use steel balls on both. It will give me, I think, an excellent setup.
Think about your physical